You when you started 6 years ago, you had no radio experience. What was it like to actually be on a morning show with no experience?
Hard. It was, man. You know how you just never want to feel defeated, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that attempt, that effort to try to do radio could be something big for me. And I just didn't want to, I just couldn't allow the thought of how big it could be. I couldn't allow that thought to die.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I wasn't able to see my way through it right away. I mean, it was very tough. It was challenging, man. It was on here. It was more as I had to record, pre-record, just to run a simple break so I could hear myself, so I could see what it felt like to get the timing down, to understand. I think the biggest fear was knowing that people are listening. And they're listening close. And I had to tell myself, well, when I'm on stage, when I'm in front of a TV camera, it's what it is. And I think the most challenging thing for me was the thought of my gestures, my facial expressions. A lot of that stuff sells me. You know, when it comes to TV, even performing, I use a lot of that to sell myself. They hear on radio, they don't see me. So I'm not using those assets, I would say, to move the needle. It had to be inflections in my voice. It had to be sheer charisma, being empathetic, just being emotional, being sarcastic when it's time to be. You know, it took all of that, and it went from a physical. The physical assets were no longer there to help me. You know, as we talk about theater of the minds, that all comes in me projecting my voice and how I use the voice. So it was an interesting learning experience for me, but it was a hell of a learning curve as well, because I mean, it took me a good year and a half, almost 2 years to feel like, you know what, I could do this. And a lot of people, let's face it, a lot of people would have given up way before that. But I saw a future in it. Because, you know, as we just talked about, the whole the air when it comes to our hip hop culture and space right now, it's so crazy that I didn't want to. I don't want to be out here trying to be no rapper. I don't choose to be a rapper when I'm 50. That ain't my thing. I ain't gonna lie to you. I want to be an entertainer. You know, do I like to do movies? Yeah. Television? Yeah. Radio? Yeah. Podcasts? Yeah. Commercials? Yeah. Get money? Yeah. You know, all of that. But it was challenging. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever had in my life, only because it's almost the longest job I've ever had.
You said the loneliest?
Longest.
I got you. Okay.
Now, I would say the longest job I've had would possibly be, it would have to be love and hip hop. Now, don't get me wrong, the music it is a job, it is a career, but it's not me clocking in every day to go and do a job. You know what I'm saying? This is every day, 5 days a week. A weekday job. I'm up in the mornings, out the house first thing in the morning. I'm out the house before most of my peers or peer group. You know what I'm saying? So,
what do you attribute? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it definitely yields a reward in the end, now, later, and all that. You know what I'm saying?
What do you attribute your success? I mean, I know it took you 2 years to get it, but who helped you? Who was there to kind of guide you through the process?
Well, first and foremost, I have to say that you know, Steve Hegwood, I would have to put him at the top of that list because he gave me the opportunity. First of all, having to meet with him on a weekly basis, working with my producer at that time, Kenny Jeffries, like that was my professor pretty much. You know what I'm saying? At the time, having a co-host. Crazy. Having a co-host, Mo Quick, at the time was my co-host. She definitely helped me because she had radio experience. I didn't. So I would have to watch her and just be like, I get it, you know.
What was her name?
And Mo Quick.
Mo Quick, got it. Fine.
And also my best friend, one of my best friends and co-hosts, Shouter.
Mm-hmm.
The Shouter was out here in the streets with me.
Mm-hmm.
We are still trying to live like we don't have a radio show in the morning. Mm-hmm. And it would take each other, influencing each other to be like, man, we can do this, man. Let's try to do this for 10 years. We're like, let's try to do it for 5. We can do it for 5, we can do it for 10. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? I'm willing to try that. Mm-hmm. So here we are, 6 on the way to 7. That it's amazing because I was like, yeah, it may not last that long, but it's been working, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.